Have you been looking for a unique sound? Perhaps determining a look for your brand? What about sound, imaginative direction, and experience storytelling? Yellow Velvet Studios is your all-inclusive, full-range creative agency for a unique approach to all of your creative needs. Founded by two-time Emmy-nominated composer and artist Daz King Honey Murray, getting the innovative solutions for your personalized projects have never been so exciting. Stand out amongst your peers with Yellow Velvet Studios' exclusive sounds, design, and photography content for advertising and marketing purposes. Imagine the benefits for your small business or brand, expanding your audience and growing your digital footprint, multiple professional images to recreate and batch content, original music from a professional creative for albums, EPs, podcasts, commercials, film, and more. Trust me. Have you heard our intro music? Look no further. The opportunity you have been waiting for to take your business to the next level is here with Yellow Velvet Studios. Email yellowvelvetstudios@gmail.com today or follow Desmond Murray at The King Honey Official on social media platforms for a unique approach to creative solutions. Contact information will be listed in the show notes. Tell them Next Stop Loading sent you. And let's start the show. Greetings and welcome to Next Stop Loading, the Grow Series. I am your host, Melissa, aka Stella. Overworked millennial turned freshman entrepreneur. So did things really change? Right. Anyhow, each week I'll bring you a conversation with professional women in various industries that are doing and or have done what the pandemic is teaching all of us to do. Figure it out. As a member of the Great Resignation, this series is dedicated to career and life transition. I hope this series engages and inspires you to grow with us on this journey of navigating this thing called life. I hope you know you're not alone. Join us. Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Next Stop Loading, our Grow Series. I am so excited not only about the special guest that I have before me today, especially for our viewing listeners. See the beauty. See it. See it. Will you tell us your name, your title, and if you're not too modest, your age?
Okay. I'm Jaketa Humphrey. My title, I'm a fashion designer. I have my own clothing brand, and I'm 30 years old.
30 years old. As we age, I keep forgetting the differences.
I know.
Because I always think you're right behind me, but that's not true. But I'm here for it. Fashion designer. Yeah. So where do you currently reside?
LA.
I can't throw it up because I'm from the E, but yeah, we're in it, as she said, as the locals do. We're in Los Angeles. So excited to be here. So excited to interview you. Now, Los Angeles. Are you from Los Angeles?
No, I'm from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Shout out to the team.
Gang.
Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
Is Los Angeles somewhere you always envisioned yourself to be?
Yeah. It was either LA or New York, but I cannot do the cold. So
LA is out.
Yes. LA got the good weather, the vibes, you know what I'm saying? So
it's a no-brainer.
I was sold. If I could do the same thing that I could do in New York here, why not?
So how long have you been here?
6 years. It was October 8th, made 6 years.
Happy anniversary. Happy belated.
Happy LA-versary, that's what they call it.
Excuse me. Happy LA-versary.
Thank you.
It's been, oh my God.
I know, right?
When I tell you that life just goes by, just blows by.
Man, you blink and it's like, hold on, what?
So, growing up, did you always think that you would be a fashion designer?
I knew I would do something dealing with fashion because I feel like my dad is more so a fashion person than my mom. Well, actually, my mom can sew. She does her little thing too. I see some old pictures of her. But my dad, just looking back at his old like yearbook in high school, he won best dress. Like I feel like, you know, each year, and then I repeated that. I won best dress in high school each year.
You know,
Then I went to college at Grambling State University.
Shout out.
But there I participated in Black Dynasty, which is a modeling troupe, and I'm just like, okay, this is cute. Like I feel like I want to do something with fashion. Oh, and I used to watch The Hills, which is like, you know, a little show.
Did that.
And they were like based in Laguna Beach. Actually, it was Laguna first. But anyways, and then they were like moving here, and they were working for Teen Vogue, and I think they were like doing fashion PR. And I was like, okay, I could do that. And so I did that for a little bit as well. I like being here. So.
Interesting. So we graduate, or we go to Grambling. Let's start there.
Okay.
We pursue an HBCU. Is that something you always wanted to do?
You know, I mean, I lived in a predominantly black neighborhood. Then I went way to Joe T. Robinson. You know where that's at.
Which is not a predominantly black.
Predominantly black. I mean, over the years, I feel like maybe it has, you know, more black people have chose to go there. But when I went there, it was, I feel like it was even race wars and stuff like that. And people
I believe that.
Super upset about Obama winning, all of this stuff. So I feel like that kind of triggered. I want to be around my people, like, because this ain't what it is, like, you know.
Hello.
And I kind of wanted to get away from Arkansas, even though my parents are like encouraging, like, you know, what if you go to UAPB? I did go visit UAPB. Actually, visited did a whole little HBCU tour. I visited Jackson State, UAPB, Grambling, but I felt like I was really sold on Grambling because the dorms is nice. And they had the most updated dorms. UAPB, Jackson State.
I was about to say, you don't hear about anyone bragging about the dorms, to my knowledge, especially when I was going to college at HBCUs. That was the last thing that was mentioned as far as bragging.
Yeah, so Grambling really, they reeled me in with that one. I was like, oh.
Sold.
Yes.
You go to Grambling. You love it, of course.
Yes.
Now, what was your major there? Or what is your degree in?
My major was mass communication with the concentration in public relations. So, you know, that's bringing in the fashion PR because I used to watch The Hills.
Right. Okay. I'm following. It correlates.
Honestly, I started in marketing and I was like, oh, this is a little bit too much math for me, sweetie, because statistics, I ain't doing all of that. So,
hey, know what your strengths are.
Okay.
and go forward. I understand, like in college, I don't know many that started freshman year like, this is what I wanted to do, and stuck to that one thing. And I think that's a beautiful thing about college. Like, you can switch it up. You may be there a little longer, but you can switch it up.
And that's all right, because your journey is your journey.
It's your journey. Absolutely. So we graduate, and then what's next?
So after graduation, let's see, I graduated May 2013. I was in a relationship. He was from Lafayette. I think he graduated the semester after me, though. So I went back home. Oh, I was working at Forever 21 in Park Plaza Mall. And then my mom, she's a teacher, so she was like, okay, like I can get you this position as a long-term substitute. So I did that for a while at an elementary school. And all the while I was doing this whole long distance relationship. So he lived in Lafayette, Louisiana. I lived in Little Rock. And then I was just like, I'm tired of being here. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm just always that type of person. And then we were talking about, like, you know, what's best for the relationship at the time. And so I decided to move to Lafayette.
Because why not? Like, you were tired of being in Little Rock. Let's go to Lafayette.
What else we got out there?
Okay.
You know,
we end up in Lafayette. Because that's the best thing for the relationship at the time. And then what are we pursuing out there?
You know what? I really didn't go there with a solid plan, like, as far as what I wanted to do. He knew, like, this person who had their own clothing boutique, so I had started working in at their clothing store.
Okay.
So, I mean, I've been in retail for a minute, you know, so I feel like that's also played a huge impact on my fashion journey.
Because it's preparation.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a paid internship.
Exactly.
Paid internship. I'm not mad at it. So how long are we in Lafayette before we make another move?
I was in Lafayette for 2 years. Yeah.
So 2 years go by, and we just changed our mind. We haven't changed our heart.
You know what? It's like, I just knew, okay, so moving from Arkansas to Lafayette is just like,
is that
kind
like
of the same thing.
It's like
it's like, okay, I see no room for growth here, as well. And as far as what I'm trying to do. And so we kind of hit it like that in a relationship. Like, okay, so I'm unhappy here. What can we do so we can both, be happy? And he was happy there. Like, he had a great job. So I'm just like, you know what? It was kind of like a mutual thing. Like, okay, like, I don't want to make you feel unhappy or have any resentment towards me. I feel like you should. And I'm like, okay, like, all right. And then I moved back home.
Okay. And it happens like that sometimes. Yeah. It happens like that sometimes. Now, at that time, did you already know that fashion designer was something that you aspired to do?
I feel like working at that boutique, though, it kind of made it more like attainable. Like, okay, if they can do that, in a small town, like whatever, coming from a small town or whatever. But the lady who I was working for, it was like a husband and a wife. Okay. She was from New York. She had all this fashion experience too, and I was telling her like, damn, I want to get into fashion, like all of this. And so she had some great advice, and I'm just like, okay, if she can do it, I can do this too. But I still had no like set idea of what I wanted to do with fashion. Like, I feel like, I could have my own clothing boutique too. Like, I could maybe, get a storefront, have some pieces in there. But I just didn't know like the steps to take.
Understood. So we transitioned back to Little Rock, but I feel like we're not there for long.
Probably was there for like, I don't even know. I'm gonna say a couple months, or maybe not a couple months, a few months. And I went back to the long-term sub position. I feel like, And I was also working at Nike. Like,
listen, multiple jobs. We still gotta get money.
Exactly.
Still gotta get money.
So I was doing that. I'm just like, this is not it. I'm just like not happy. I'm talking to my friend, one of my best friends, Bree. She moved from New York to LA like a couple months before. And she's out here already, so she's telling me like, this is my childhood best friend since pre-K, and she's like, come out here, like, before she moved from New York, she had broken her she got into a bad accident, broken her leg or whatever, so she moved here on crutches. Like, so I'm like, she's like, if I can do it, you can do it. And I'm just like, you damn right, I can do it.
I can do this. I can do this.
Like, I'm gonna like help you find a place, because I think it's best that you have your own space coming out here. I see people like, going from couch to couch. I don't think that's the best way to do it. I think you should, have your own place. We can work together. Whatever. So she hyped me up. You know what I'm saying? I say
that's what friends do.
I saved X amount. Probably maybe like, I didn't even save that much money. I probably maybe saved like maybe 3 months rent. And I drove out here.
All I got is $1 in a dream.
It's not bad.
Are you gonna roll with me? 3 months rent.
And maybe they go quick in LA. I was like, oh Lord.
I'm thinking that's just rent.
I gotta eat.
You gotta eat.
I have gas. I have a car. I need gas.
Yeah.
Car and the gas is $5 here. Like,
listen, the other stuff is adding up. Like, you said 3 months rent, but I'm thinking about utilities. I'm thinking about health insurance.
All of that. It's like, and I was not thinking. I'm still on my parents' insurance at the time. Like, fuck it.
But thank God for that.
You know what I'm saying?
Thank God for that. Yeah. But all the other additional bills, I'm like, whoo, I got stressed out just listening to that. But sometimes it's like that.
I was just so happy. I didn't even think it out. But of course, my parents talking to me, they like, LA, a whole different ball game. Like, the cost of living out there is so expensive. Like, what are you gonna do? We can't continue to. We can help you, but we can't continue to help you. Like, we got our own bills, and I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. Just me. I just feel like when I make up my mind to do something, I'm gonna do it. I don't care who's saying X, Y, and Z about it.
So, I think this is a good place to stop and talk about like support as far as familial support. You say you talked to your parents about it, and I didn't hear you say anything about them not being supportive of what you wanted to do in the move you wanted to make, but more so making sure you knew the reality of the decisions you were making.
Yeah, just being realistic. Yeah.
So how was that support coming from your family?
I feel like my parents, they just always super supportive. Like that little meme say, like, they so proud of me, they don't even know what I'm doing. Like, they just always supportive, even if they don't quite get it. They just like, okay, yeah, okay. They still try to, project. And I feel like not project in a sense, but you know what I'm saying. They gonna say, because that's a whole different generation. They raised on like working, and I'm more so like, I don't want to work for nobody for the rest of my life. Like that's where I'm at, So I feel like they always been like, they'll hear me out and they know how I am because I'm their daughter. Period. And they like, well,
you made this.
My daddy be like, she gonna do what she want to do anyway. Like I'm talking to my mom, and so they are just always so supportive. Like even if they have their little 2 cents, they gonna say like
they're gonna say it, but they know you're gonna make the decision you're gonna make. I love it. I love it. Now, have they ever lived in a bigger city?
No, my daddy's from Forest City, Arkansas. My mom is from Madison, Arkansas, which is not, maybe like 10 minutes from Forest City.
I was about to say, I've never heard of Madison, Arkansas.
It's closer to Jonesboro, Arkansas.
Okay.
So, yeah. So their biggest move was moving to Little Rock. Mm-hmm. And then, my dad used to like work in Memphis when we lived in Forest City. So that was like a drive. But
I got you. Okay. Okay, so they've transitioned, but not to the magnitude that you have transitioned. It wasn't necessarily a lateral move because Forest City and Little Rock are still...
Yeah, very different.
That's different.
So, thank God for that. But proud of where they come from.
Absolutely.
There ain't no shade. I still got family in the Forest City.
Exactly. And I know some awesome people in the town. So, yes. We make the decision. Friend hypes us up. 3 months rent in the bank.
Yeah.
And we gonna make it shake. Mm-hmm. What does that journey look like from Little Rock to Los Angeles?
Ooh, child. When I tell you the drive, I don't recommend on anybody. Like, please ship your car, do what you need to. Nah, I'm playing. It was fun. It was like a little road trip. Me and one of my best friends, Tessie. Shout out to her.
Shout out to Tessie.
She drove. I drove the majority of the time. Let's just be real. But she drove, and I felt like I was just on an adrenaline rush. We didn't stop until we got to like Flagstaff, Arizona, which is like maybe like 5.5 hours away. And my dad was like, y'all need to pull over, because like she was getting tired. I'm just like, I started to get tired. So I was like, okay, let's pull over.
When you got to Flagstaff, were you still like so gung-ho about the trip, or did reality begin to set in at all?
I was still so excited. I wanted to drive there, but if it wasn't for my daddy, like, you need to, like, if y'all both tired, you need to pull up, get a hotel. So that's also digging into my little 3 months rent. Exactly. I gotta get a hotel for a night. So we do that, and I'm still excited. I feel like reality didn't set in because I moved there October 2015. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So it didn't set in until months later. It's like, oh, okay. You're not in Kansas anymore.
You're not in Kansas anymore. So prior to moving, had you been to LA?
I had been to LA, I want to say once before moving here.
And then one time you were sold.
Oh, yeah. I was like, well, it wasn't even LA, honestly. It was like, it was Coachella, because I went to Coachella in like 2013 or whatever. And then we went to San Diego. Like, so I just love California. I'm like, oh, yeah, like, this is where it's at. So, yeah. Okay.
Still on this high. We get here with 3 months rent. We have an apartment?
I didn't have an apartment. Okay. But all I packed, I didn't have any like furniture or anything. I just packed clothes and shoes and, stuff like that. So I get there with my best friend who lives here. Well, with my best friend who drove with me. We go to my best friend's house, who was actually living here. And at the time, she was staying with her guy at the time. Or they were living together. And so, but we had already like kind of narrowed down the places that I wanted to look at in person.
Okay.
So I only stayed there for maybe like, I feel like a week until I made my decision on a place. And then I made my decision on a place. It was a studio probably the size of this kitchen right here. It was just my bed in here. It was actually just the size, right?
But it was yours.
It was mine. I was so happy. I was like, oh my God, I'm grown. Like, this is like a real deal grown.
I made it happen.
Okay.
What do you mean? We're out here. I'm living in LA. It's the dream. It's the dream.
Oh, so grown.
Ain't where? Where? So 3 months rent run out. Where are we currently working when we deplete that, or what's our plan, or what happens after we get settled?
So the whole initial plan, me moving out here, I was gonna work with my best friend. She had her own clothing brand at the time, but you know, that's hers. So you know what I'm saying? I feel like friends and business, it can work, but you guys need to establish some things, you know. I feel like, so anyways, I was doing that with her. I was making jewelry, like accessories and stuff for her brand, but it's like I want my own, and I feel like I want to sell clothes. Like, I'm not really a jewelry type of girl, but it was doing the bill, like it was paying the bills and stuff. And then but then we kind of, when I maybe like a month in me being here, my roommate now and we went out and we were at this bar, and I'm just talking about, like, you know, other things that I want outside, like for myself. I want to work in fashion PR because I've seen it on the hills, blah blah blah. I want to work for a magazine, like some, just like throwing ideas out there. So we're talking about this at the bar, and then it's like two ladies sitting across from us, and they're like, "Oh, did you say, like, you know, they're in the business?" But it's like, okay, it's fine.
Right.
Like, I mean, they have been drinking, we having a great time. So they're like, "Oh, you say fashion PR?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like, I've always wanted to do that since I've seen it." Da, da, da. And then she's like, "Well, I have a friend who has his own fashion PR company. Let me take your contacts and then I'll connect you to." And I'm just like,
things are aligning.
Right.
Random night at the bar and connection.
Okay. And so she connected us, and like he emailed me, and then it was like an unpaid internship. So I'm like, okay, I can get this experience and just like kind of see what goes from there. But it's taking a lot of my time. And then I felt my friend like feeling like, you know, okay, like, but you need to make time for this. So we kind of like, you know, come to a head or whatever, and we like, we kind of do fall out at this point, like, because she's like, well, this is my, you know, I take this seriously, you know, and I'm like, I respect it. So basically we didn't end up working together or whatever anymore, and we didn't talk for 2 years after this, because it was like a, you know, a lot more behind it too. It was like a whole thing. So at this point, this is like, it's like in November 2015, and I'm like, you know, okay, like I have no money coming in. I have this internship, it's unpaid. Now what do I need to do? I'm like calling my dad. He's like I say, so supportive. He's like, I mean, you can, you know, feel defeated, but you don't have to stay there. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, you have choices to make. Like, what you gonna do? You gonna wrap it up, come back home? The home is always available and open to you, or you gonna basically put on your big girl panties and
figure it out.
And I'm like, so, you know, I think about it. I think I go home for the holidays. We talk a little bit more in person. And I'm like, you know what? I ain't no punk. I'm about to go back out there. I'm about to figure this out, because I said I wanted to be here. You pray for something, you ask for something, and then you just gonna fold like somehow. So I come back to LA. I applied to like a couple of different jobs. I like Zara, and then it was like this reselling company. I got both of them. So I started doing both of them. I was like working stock at Zara like 5 in the morning, 5 to like 11. Then I'll get off there and I go to the other job, and you know, on some days or whatever the day is scheduled. And then I go to the internship. So I had like 3.
Hey, making it work, but you're chasing your dream and making it work. Exactly. Because I mean, as we pursue the things that we want to do, it doesn't come without some sacrifices, right? Yeah. And it's better to get that done with in the beginning than on the back end.
Exactly.
So, juggling 3 jobs, internship. Now, in this internship, what were you doing exactly?
So it was PR. So it was like they had a showroom and they had like all these different beautiful gowns from like people overseas who were trying to get publicity in the States. So you know, in LA they have all these different like award shows, so or just things they need to pull certain items for. So different stylists would come in and they would pull for like, you know, Beyonce, like all the little big names, Rihanna and Zendaya, and so they'll pull these gowns for them and then they'll wear them, and then we have to write up like a, you know, article or find all the little articles where it's like she's wearing, you know, Yosef, like and we find it and then we put it on social media and blah blah blah.
That sounds like a great experience.
I know. I was like, okay, this is how it works.
Right.
So, yeah.
Because you're getting the information that earlier you mentioned you didn't know anything about. Now you're like in the thick of it to a certain degree. And if I'm not mistaken, in this role, you're able to meet some people.
All these different people. So I'm like, okay, this is the LA that I'm, you know, thinking about. Okay. Right. So I'm meeting all these people. I'm meeting their stylists, and I, you know, rub my hands, like elbows with them, and I'm like, okay, like let me just network a little bit. I started talking to a couple stylists, and then I was able to assist them on certain projects, like a Kohl's commercial, all these little different things. And I'm like, this is the experience that I've been on. So,
absolutely. Yeah. Alignment. And although, you know, it wasn't a paid financially intern, it's paying you other ways with these experiences. Exactly. Because some people will tell you, you know, you're going to get this experience, you know, and you're like, where is it?
This is actually some real deal experience. I was like, okay. And then after a while, like, so yeah, when I would go work for the stylist and assist them, I would get paid from doing that.
Oh, that's dope.
And then when my internship, it was like a 3-month internship. So when it ended, you know, they liked me because I always, you know,
I mean,
leave a good impression wherever I'm at. And so it was like, you know, we can't bring you on full time, but whenever you do want to come in, we can start paying you. Like, you know, so.
Sign me up.
Okay,
Stay
I'll do that. Period.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Are you still doing that, or are you still connected?
I'm still connected with them. I'm still friends with them. They invite me to events. I go, and I'm just like, okay. So,
lovely.
You know, but since the pandemic, I hadn't talked to a lot of them. But
understood.
What did come from that, though, so they had a client who was based in the UK, and she opened this boutique called House of CB. So the flagship store was open here in the U.S. on Melrose, and so they were telling me about that opportunity, and you know, and that it would pay more than me working all these different 3 jobs. So I'm like, okay, but you know, still retail. So I was like, so they presented the opportunity to me, and because they, you know, knew the client, then I was able to do that.
Okay.
So I quit the, you know, other jobs. Now I'm just working at House.
Amen. I mean, we're reducing the workload to a certain extent.
Right.
As we navigate through this, so we're at CB, House of CB, and we're gaining some experience there because having a store, your flagship. I'm not gonna say flagship because that
is right. That's
but was the flagship store on Melrose?
Yeah.
Okay, so with this store being on Melrose, first of all, there's no small feat to get space on Melrose, right? And now you, Little Rock, Arkansas, Los Angeles, working in a store on Melrose, having made connections with people in the industry that are actually doing the things that you aspire to do. So you're getting this now paid experience, but in the back of your mind, it's like, this is still not for me.
Right.
Because I'm not working for me. I'm not putting the things out there that I necessarily want to do. Right. So it's still in the back of your mind that fashion designer. Or
at this point,
I was about to say, has that formed
at this
yet?
point? Yes, it's clicked for me, especially working at Style PR, which was where I was doing the fashion internship. It clicked for me there because it's like, these people don't even live here. They base, you know, all over the world, like overseas, and it's just like, but they're getting their name out here, and they, you know, just seeing their designs. It's like, okay, I could do this too. So I feel like back in 2016, I came up with the idea because I lost my brother in 2009. So I was like, I feel like I did want something like, but I feel like I was coming up with these names that like didn't mean anything to me as far as like what I want a brand to be. And so then something just came to me and I'm like, okay, Mark, M-A-R-Q, because my brother's name was Marquise. And, you know, so then I went and I registered my business as Mark Clothing in 2016, but set on it. Didn't do anything with it. Just it's registered. It's there because I had this idea.
But that's a first step.
Right.
That's a first step. Is there a reason you just set on it after registering the name?
I don't know. I feel like, okay, I do know. I did feel like I didn't have the resources at the time. Like I didn't know, once again, I didn't know where to start. Like, I didn't know about the fashion district here, like where I can go buy things in bulk and, you know, then sell them online. Like, so it's like basically just trying to figure it out. But what I do feel like, it was for a reason though. Because when I think back to, you know, from my brother passed in 2009, me and him, we were the only ones who went to a church service together. Like he came over because he was living by himself. So he came over to my parents' house and he like, y'all going to church today? Like, you know, whatever. And then I'm just like, I'll go. Like when my parents was like in there, like sleep, whatever. So I feel like that was just a moment for me and him. And so we go to church and the sermon was called in the meantime, what to do between life and death. And the scripture was Habakkuk 2:3, like 2:3, like though it tarries, wait for it. And so when I think back on it, I'm like, damn, this is for me, because I feel like, what? Like this was like some instructions, and I still had like my sermon notes, like I was writing. I'm like counting, like it was like, yeah. I was like, what? Maybe I needed to sit and wait, you know. But though it tarries, wait for it, because it should surely come. I'm like, chills, like chills.
I feel that. I feel that. So we waited. We registered in 2016, and we waited. We're still yet gaining more experiences as time goes by, right? So, House of CB, where did we transition to after that?
So, working at House of CB, I'm just like, I'm having a great time. I'm meeting some great girls there. Like this now, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of coming into my own in LA. Like I'm meeting friends. I'm making friends here, and you know, I feel like because it can get lonely. Like I was like when I didn't, you know, when I told you me and my best friend we weren't talking, so it's like I really didn't know anybody out here besides her. So it's like, ooh, okay. Like just going back to my little old apartment, sitting there by myself, calling friends, calling family. You know what I'm saying? So it's like to have people actually here. So I feel like that kind of created that environment for me in House of CB. Then it was like people from Arkansas, like here. I think we started like a group message. I met some of them in person. So I was like, okay, home away from home.
Right.
Here we go. Like, man,
we established community.
Exactly. Then it was like some people who went to Grambling and like, okay, like here's another piece of me. So I'm like, okay, coming into my own here. So working there was cool for that aspect. And then I'm like meeting, like, cause House of CB, they have like cute little gowns or things you can, you know, people come there and they want to like get a quick little look, but it still look high fashion,
right?
You know, and go to an award show or a party or whatever. So I'm meeting different clients. I have my little clientele. So I'm really thinking I'm doing something. And they texted me, right? It was, but they texted me on the side like, oh, you know, and it was like, okay, this is cute, but it's still just like I want more. What's next? What's next? I feel like I'm just always that person. I don't ever like get too comfortable in the situation because it's like, okay, what's next? Which could be a good and a bad thing because I feel like you need to be present and you know, enjoy the moment. But anyway, so I think like in 2018, this lady comes in the store and I'm helping her, so she's like loving my energy and whatever. And then she's like, like, what do you like? Asking all about me, like, and I'm telling her I went to Grambling. She has family from New Orleans, so we like connect. I'm like, okay, cool. So then she's telling me about what she does, and she's in the film industry, and she has her own production company. And I'm like, oh, that's interesting, because I have, like I said, if an opportunity presented itself, I would love to learn more about film and stuff like that.
Love it.
She's like, well, maybe you should come work for me, like low-key recruit me. And I'm like, well,
and don't threaten me with a good time.
Let me see what you're talking about,
because I'll fuck around and find out.
Exactly. So we come on now, hello. So I'm like, let me get your contact. We exchange contacts, and I low-key kind of had forgot about it, and then I was like having a bad day at work. It just wasn't the best day. I was like, you know what? Let me hit this lady up.
Right.
And so I hit her up, and she's like somewhere, like she was traveling at the time. Like, but when I get back in LA, like, I have my lawyer, whatever, drop the contract. You can start X, Y. I'm like, bet. Like,
now what would that role be exactly?
Her assistant.
Okay.
So her,
not mad at that.
Her production assistant and like personal assistant. So I'm doing, her day-to-day things, as well as like things dealing with her film production and stuff. So
that sounds
I was excited about this.
It sounds exciting, but it sounds weird to me.
Here I am again. I don't think, like, when I get excited, it's like I don't think all the way through. It's like, is this something that you want to do? It, but she talking once again though. We talking way better numbers than I was getting here. So it's like, okay, well,
I can work.
You know what I'm saying? I just gotta see what it's gonna do. So she come back, and she's like, sends the contract. I send it to so people can, so like my uncle and who's like a lawyer and stuff like that. So get some second eyes on this, baby. What is she trying to do? What's going on?
We don't need no tricks up any sleeves.
Exactly.
So I got that.
It's basically saying at will. So like whatever, you can be let go at any time, which is,
understood.
That's life,
right?
So whatever. I put in my 2 weeks here because I always want to leave on a good note.
For sure.
And 2 weeks coming past, and I start working for her, and it's just like we were working out of her house. She had this beautiful house in the Sunset Hills, like off of Sunset Boulevard, and everything was peaches and cream the first couple of months. I ain't gonna lie, I was like, okay, this is more my speed. Even though I was doing a whole lot, like she was paying me in miles when I, for my mileage when I had to drive here and there or whatever. But it's like, I can do this. Like,
right.
I can do this. Yeah.
Now, what was some of the most exciting things being in that role? Because it's not retail. It's almost completely different.
Super different. But I like also with her knowing that I have a fashion background, she was allowing me to like, she would go to the Cannes Film Festival in France. Is that in France?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm like, let me know. Okay. But,
understood.
And so she would like, have me pick out outfits for her, or talk to a stylist, and like, so I enjoyed that part. It's like, okay, you're still incorporating what I would like to do. So I like that. And then she would have production meetings where they would pitch to her like different films that they want to come out. And so I would go to those meetings with her, and like some high profile people, and I'm like, okay.
Right.
And then I'm talking amongst, they want to know my input, and I'm just like,
oh yeah.
Well, let me see what I have.
Mama, we are we close, mama.
Like,
we are close.
It's like we sit down with Michael Oyelowo, who played Martin Luther King in Selma.
Right.
I'm just like, and he's like, well, what do you think? And I was like, oh, you talking to me?
And you were listening.
I was listening, but I was like, well, yeah, I think that. So I had something for her, but I was a little shocked to see that. Sad, but it was, so that was cool. But she said that she would need me, anyway, okay. She was a white woman, but we were the same age. I feel like she was like a year older than me.
Really?
So it was kind of an interesting
dynamic.
Yes. Because it's like,
because in my head this entire time, I'm like, this is an older white lady.
No.
And that is not the case.
So I feel like that was interesting, and she kind of did tell me like, like the films that she want to do are more geared to. I feel like we, like black people, we go see the most movies. Like they know they target audience, and they know that we generate, a lot of money like for them. So it's like she did want to know some of my.
That is crazy.
Things.
But understood.
Yeah, and so the most exciting thing is when I got to go to TIFF, is Toronto Film Festival with her, and I was like, okay, Yes, like, all expenses paid, all of this.
Mm-hmm. That is dope. That's dope. What an experience, because I feel like that was nowhere near on the vision board. And
but
look what happened.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I love it.
I feel like that definitely, because now, I feel like we'll get to this, but now I am very interested in film, and I've worked with a couple of people who brought me on as wardrobe designer for their short films, and I'm just like, it's all.
It's aligning.
It's like, okay.
And I think what I love most about it, like you said, we can actually get into it now. Even as we pursue one thing, what I have heard, and it's exciting for me to hear, is that you've been open to other things that may support or enhance what it is that you really want to do. Yes. Right? Yeah. So, and I think that's important, to be open to those opportunities that present themselves. So,
very true.
I love it. Now, film.
Yes.
You're getting some exposure in this role to film. Now, did this exposure spark your interest in film, or you've already been interested in film?
It's like, for me, I was like, well, I might want to get into acting, but to see the production behind it, and when they talking the numbers and all the money that goes into this is like a whole different ball game. It's like, okay, that's interesting. And she would have me reading scripts, kind of vetting different scripts out, oh, we like this one, I didn't really like that one, or whatever. So I was like, it did pique a different interest in me. And it was like, dang, I feel like this is something I can do. And I can, especially when you reading the scripts and you oh, I can see this being set in New York, whatever. It's just taking you there. So
I love it. So we're in this role for how long?
I was in this role for 9 months, maybe.
And then we transitioned to...
So, with that, like I said, going back to, we're the same age, but different race. She's more, let's just talk about her. She's a privileged white girl who comes from money. And so, this is none of her own money that she's wanting to invest in these films. This is trust fund money. This is her dad's money, whatever.
Oh, wow.
So, we run into problems there because it's like you are... over promising and under delivering at this point. And it's I don't play those games. I don't play those games, especially when it comes to money. It's this is my livelihood out here. So with her, it was 2 times. I want to say maybe 2 times where I think she was getting into it with her mom or something, and her mom freezes the account. So now you can't pay me. And it's no, sweetie, we gotta figure it out. You gotta call daddy. What are you gonna do?
Because you got attitude. I can't get paid.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And so that just kind of turned a little sour there. But not only was she having this problem with me, she was like I said, she's sitting in this beautiful home in Sunset Hills, but she's renting it. Rent there is $20,000
easily.
And it's so then she runs into the problem with the landlord. So they're hitting me out. Because I'm her assistant, I'm getting all the, slack from everybody. Then the stylist who she was borrowing and buying clothes from, whatever, she owes this amount of money and da-da-da. And I'm just then yoga instructors. All these people, she's just living a lavish life. You know what I'm saying? Beyond the means at the time. So... it became money issues. Even when I did still decide to go to Toronto with her, I still hadn't been paid for maybe 2 months or whatever. And I'm just steady asking her okay, when can I expect payment? And she's everything should be sorted out with the accountants, blah blah. It's just
a lot
typical,
of mess.
Typical.
Yes.
And so, anyways, I'm just okay, well, what's going to happen when I go to Toronto? She's I'll pay for everything, but how?
Because you can't pay this other stuff. We in another country right
girl.
now. And the problems I don't need.
So anyways, I still go because I want to be serious. Because I'm just like, well,
YOLO.
we gonna figure
We'll
it out.
figure it out when we get there. It's got to be something on the credit card.
Exactly. Okay. Because baby, I'm swiping. And after we gonna figure it out because it ain't mine. So yeah.
9 months, and then we transition. But before I ask that, before the transition, that dynamic of you all being close in age, but it's like seeing this lifestyle that you weren't necessarily raised in, right? But did being kind of adjacent to it, did it feel more attainable?
Oh yeah. So I'm like, if she can do this, and she just going around lying to people and just scamming in a sense, like I'm a good person. I deserve these things too. I can have these things. So yeah, I feel like I liked it for that aspect because it's like, okay, if she can have it, please.
Exactly. Like, we can figure something out. Exactly. We can work this out. I can make something shake.
Exactly.
I love it. So. I love it. So we have a wonderful time. That's what it sounds like. A lot of experiences and exposure, right?
Yeah.
Because we're seeing how people that we wouldn't even have thought of, they're connecting with her, and you're getting exposed to film and all these things, but we still have a dream.
Yes.
And we separate from her to then pursue what?
From there, because I did leave House of CD on great terms, I ended up going back because it's like now I just need some income. I gotta bring back money now, so that's that. But now I'm at this point where I need something for myself. Like at this point, because that situation can never happen again.
Right.
I'm back at House of CD working there. So I worked there for maybe a year after. And then I started working at this company who does like career recruiting. But I was working in their marketing department before the pandemic. So that's what happened. Then the pandemic happened. Then they let people go. And then, And so I feel like pandemic is where it's like, that's where it clicked in. Like, okay, now you need your own. Like, people can let people go at the drop of a dime. What are you going to do? And so then I revisited my Mark clothing, and I'm like, okay. And I'm talking to my best friend, the one who I initially moved here, because now we're back friends again. Okay. And she's telling me, like, giving me some encouraging words. Like, if you feel like you want to do more, like, it's available. Like, her clothing brand is booming at the time. She gives me, a couple of her resource connects. And so now I'm like, okay, here's the resources that I've been like, I don't know what to do, like, whatever. But I feel like all of that needed to happen so this could happen.
For sure. Yeah. Because if it happened immediately, the instant gratification, we may not know what it takes to really get there and sustain. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So we launched the brand. And again, the brand is called
Mark, MARQ Clothing. I'm wearing it right now.
Get
this
into
is
it.
My first launch.
You see this shoulder action.
It's got a little cold shoulder, little sweats. So it's an athleisure brand.
Full view. We'll get that. No worries. Yeah. So awesome. Congratulations. Let me say that on launching the brand. How did it feel to create your first piece?
I feel like it was just so like I don't even have a word for it. It was just like something that's been in your head so long, and then you're going through all of this, and life happens, and it's just like to finally get that out. It's just like
relief.
Yeah, it's like you did it. Like you finally did it. So I feel like happy, excited. Like my brother be proud. Like all of that.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Yay! Congratulations again. So launch the brand. Did you launch it in the pandemic? Because we're still in it, guys. For those of you that think gospel music has gone too far. No, for those of you that think that COVID is over, it is not. It is not. But in the thick of it, Mark Clothing was launched. We'll be sure to put those handles and where you can locate the brand so you can do all of your shopping. So, yes. We launched the brand where I don't want to say self-proclaimed, but that's what we proclaimed over our lives, was to be a fashion designer. Mm-hmm. We produced our first piece. So we are what we say we are, right?
Yeah.
We are what we say we are. It's out there. Since then, how's it been going?
It's been going well. Well, I ain't gonna say it's been, all sunshine some days, but especially starting your own thing, investing your own money, it's up and down. You know what I'm saying? So it's like when I first launched, I had these jackets sold out. And so it's like, okay, that's a good feeling. And then I put these on there, and it's like, it's been slow. It's moving, but it's been slowly moving. But it's just like, okay, well, now go back to the drawing board. So it's just like a constant okay, what to do next? I always told you, I'm that type of person.
I was about to say that.
What's next now?
Yeah, so. The challenge that you present for yourself.
Yeah.
So awesome. So how do you think, just in, what do we call that, in retrospect, that LA was one of the best moves for you?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Because I feel like if I would have stayed home and just been like, okay, I'm just going to be a long-term substitute, or maybe you go back and get certified to be a teacher, I would not be happy, to be quite honest, because that's not something that I want to do. I feel like that's my mom's a teacher. She's been in it for, over 30 years. I'm 30, so over 30 years and stuff. So it's just I feel like sometimes, our parents kind of they just want us to be, live a comfortable life and just be they kind of project their things onto us, as far as okay, well, if you just do this and that. But it's I've never been one to play it safe, and I feel like I want to go after everything in this lifetime, because why not?
And it sounds like you've been doing just that. It sounds like you've been doing just that.
Yeah.
Launching the brand in Los Angeles, a place that you said you always wanted to be. How does that feel?
It feels great. It feels even doing this with you, I feel I hope somebody sees this and it inspires them to dang, she went through all of that. You know what I'm saying? I feel I can do that too, or whatever. And just Mark, with the clothing man being Mark, I also, came up with this other thing, leave your mark. So leave your mark in this life. So whatever you think about doing, I don't care if you even try for a couple days or maybe just a month or two. You never know until you try. So I feel just leave your mark doing all that you want to do. If that makes sense. Yeah.
Now, if there were 3 things you could tell someone that's been thinking about, relocating, may think that, or have thought before that it was too late for them to do that, or even change their minds about what it is they wanted to pursue, what are 3 things you would tell them to encourage them?
One, if you're thinking about it, you should just do it, because it's gonna constantly be in your mind. And I feel if you don't do it, you're gonna have that regret where it's I shoulda, woulda, coulda type thing. So just go for it. And then 2, if you think about relocating or anything, I did it with 3 months rent. Now I'm telling you, it went fast, and you saw the little struggles I ran into. But map it out, plan it out. But I feel you can do your best planning and things can go wrong. So it's
Absolutely. Just go.
Yeah. And then the 3rd thing, leave your mark.
That's a good one. I like that one. Leave your mark. Leave your mark.
Yes.
Now, one question that I hear, not only from women, but younger women that have moved and their parents may be concerned, as far as safety.
Yeah.
Did that ever cross your mind?
You know what? I feel it didn't. But now, in these, I feel yes, it always has been a thing, living in a big city as a woman. But I feel kind of never crossed my mind heavily until now. I feel like it's like a lot of things, going around in the world where it's like, ooh, thank you, God, for your covering. So it's like, especially when I lived in like the first apartment I was in, I lived by myself, and I had, I didn't have like garage parking, so I had to do street parking. And when I did work at House of CB, or just I was getting off late, like, or early, waking up to go to Zara, like, or whatever, I had to park, do street parking, but you only can park on this side at a certain time. I only do this. So sometimes I would have to park far and walk. And now, like, looking back on it, it's like, ooh, that's kind of like scary.
Right.
I'm really thanking God for covering me, and thanking my family. I know my parents be praying. I know they be worrying. So thank you, everybody, for all the prayers. I know they ain't the only ones praying. So
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. Is there anything that I have not asked you that you would like to people to know?
No, I feel like I've been an open book. I feel like we done touched on so much.
Yes. Okay, good deal. Well, I would like to say not only congratulations on the brand, but I'm always here to cheer for you. I'm always here to support you however I can. I'm definitely proud of you. I recall, I don't remember all the specifics, but I don't even know why I was at your parents' home this day, but we met up for some reason, and you were like, I gotta go to LA. And I was just like, do your thing, you know?
You always been so supportive, and I'm so grateful for that.
And you're out here doing the thing. So I'm so proud of you. I know the brand is going to continue to soar. So I love what you're doing. Thank you so much for your yes, because you definitely didn't have to say yes, but I thank you for your yes.
I'm proud of you. Let's talk about that.
Thank you.
Keep going. This is a dope series. I'm loving it. I'm like, okay, let's do this. Let's redo this and do that. I don't know how many times you gotta do it. I'm glad that you were able to be here in person. I feel like
I know. I am happy about that. We tried to do this virtually, and listen, it just did not work out. It didn't work out. So glad to be in Los Angeles, doing the interview and exploring the city as I can. Would love to do this again. For all of those interested in possibly connecting with you, where can they find you?
I'm on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Ketas, KETAS.world, because it's Keta's World. You just living in it. But and then the brand is www.markclothing.com. But if you go to my page on Instagram, you can get to Mark Clothing on Instagram too.
And we'll be sure to put that in the show notes. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for listening. We're out. See you next time. Bye.